All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday evening at around 5:30. It's unusual for Chet and Duffy to appear at this time. However, we've had a very tough time in terms of scheduling the show this week, but we're back here with Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. It's going to be a little bit of a week 2 recap for the most part, but I am your host, Chet, on the left, and of course to my right is Duffy. Duffy, how are we doing this week, my man?
Chet, I'm doing fantastic. I had a great time seeing you this past weekend coming out in Narragansett.
We're gonna have to do that again. That was quite a show.
By the way, Chet, if you guys don't know Chet in real life, which I'm sure most of you do, this guy, I'm telling you what right now, everyone loves him. Just a great, smooth talker, funny guy. You never have to worry about Chet having a good time anywhere.
Nah, Chet's always going to have a good time wherever he goes.
He's having a good time with his matching fit.
Dude, people I got so many mixed reviews for that. I need to get that pic on here, honestly, because I got to show. That's what we do. We got to do a poll, see if that outfit slaps. You know what I mean? See what the people think.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to my Google Photos and see what I can stew up right now to just show the audience.
Totally, because that's the total Chet element right there. And my buddy Bob, he likes to call that my romper. Like that's what he calls it, as a romper.
That's kind of what it looks like,
It kind of does. But anyways, we've had some trouble with our scheduling lately, but we're back and we're gonna hop right into it to discuss the recap on Sunday of the New England Patriots against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Final score of that game: Patriots defeat Pittsburgh by a total of 17-14. It was a narrow game, honestly, an ugly game. It was very defensive for the most part. And, for the most part, from what I saw there, Mac Jones, he just struggled. He really did again. And he threw one interception in that contest. However, he probably would have had 4 picks by the end of this one because he was not throwing the ball very well at times. And, he had that great thread of the needle over the top to Nelson Aguilar. But the thing is about that pass is that cornerback shadowed that route perfectly. It's just great job by Aguilar to really jump over the top and catch that ball and bring it down for 6. So that was a great throw that we saw out of him from yesterday. But for the most part, I still think we are seeing a lot of disorganization with this Patriots unit as opposed to last year when Mac Jones came into the league. And it could be because he's starting to mature and he's starting to figure out his craft as a quarterback in this league as opposed to being held by on a leash a bit. But at this point, for me, something needs to be figured out because right now we're seeing struggle after struggle with this team throughout the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I don't think it's all on Mac Jones. I think you're being a little bit too hard on Mac Jones. He did have a very serviceable game again. Like you said, not some not great passes here and there. Maybe a drop. There was a dropped pick at one point in the third quarter, off a tip pass. But I think it's the Patriots offense in general. This is a Pats squad through 2 games, averaging 12 points per game, which has been, pretty tough to watch. This defense, though, very reassuring in the way they've been able to handle Miami and Pittsburgh so far, especially with the way Miami played this week, makes the defense look a whole lot better after their onslaught of points. We'll talk about that in a sec. But Patriots offense, I think it really starts with the play calling. And I thought we kind of were going to shy away from this conservative crap, this bullshit we see on 3rd and 15, running draw plays, slip screens, quick outs. It's just annoying at this point. It really is. And I've talked this on my Facebook for anyone watching this on my Facebook. I think the Pats could be so much better if Belichick just switch things up. It's not always going to work with the personnel we have now. We saw at times last year where the Patriots, they won a lot of ugly games and a lot of low-scoring contests. Defense obviously has always been a priority in New England, but this offense without Tom Brady in year 3 of the transition, looked good last year, but very slow start this year. And I think it all starts with what we're calling, and we're not getting the balls to our best players. Devontae Parker, just 1 catch for 9 yards in the first game, and he didn't really do much of anything yesterday either.
0 receptions on 2 targets.
0 receptions. Yeah, I thought he had 0, but I didn't want to say he had 0 because I wasn't completely sure.
The most targeted guy still is Jacoby Myers. He had 13 targets.
Yeah, Myers, another great game. 9 grabs, 95 yards yesterday. Aguilar over 100 yards. I mean, Mac Jones was getting the balls to those guys, but I think we got to get some more playmakers, spread it out, divvy it out. And I think a lot of it is how the Pats play. I mean, Jacoby Myers is one of those guys who will play in the slot, who will run those short underneath routes. Aguilar is a guy who is the deep threat at times if he's even serviceable. I mean, that catch yesterday by Aguilar, one of a kind in his career up to this point. I think he's in year 8 right now in his NFL career. He's never had a Moss quite like that, but
yeah. And I think something we're also seeing is the run game struggle a lot, because right now, I mean, at least through the first 2 weeks, I mean, Damian Harris does get himself a touchdown and over 70 yards, but we kind of need to see these running lanes open up a little bit more for him and Stevenson, because right now it's kind of just been very much a trek for them to really move the ball up the field. I mean, yesterday, longest run of the day was 16 yards. And I mean, that's something they got to develop a little bit more, is how to get these big gains that we saw from last year. Because last year there were plenty of runs that Harris broke free through, and even Stevenson. We need to see more. I mean, obviously it's the first 2 weeks. This offense is still figuring itself out, but it's going to be tough because we're talking about a competitive division, and we're going to get to that game. But the Miami Dolphins taking down the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, Tua getting 6 touchdowns, and now Josh Allen going up tonight against the Titans. These are the 2 juggernauts of the East right now. And if the Patriots want to beat them, they need to develop a better offensive scheme. Yeah,
absolutely. And, we saw it already last week with Miami. I mean, only 7 points against the Dolphins, came late in the third quarter, was shut out for most of the game. And, didn't have a good game plan going to that game. And, can't keep using the excuse, it's tough against division opponents, tough on the road against these guys. No, I mean, Tua Tagovailoa, 4-0 against the Patriots, but in those 4 games, they've scored 21, 17, 20, and 23 points. I mean, you just have not been able to put the points against Tua Tagovailoa. 33 in the last game last year, but one of them was a touchdown at the end of the game, so it was 27. But, those aren't numbers which the Pats can't beat. But, at least we already got the road game out of the way in Miami because –
yeah, honestly, thank God, because I hate every single year that it would come up in December when we don't need to face them, because we always lose there now. We haven't won a game in years at this point.
I think it's the last time the Pats won in Miami was 2019 with Ryan Fitzmagic at quarterback. And then Miami, at the end of the year, came into New England and knocked the Pats out of the first round bye in week 17. So, it's always one of those things where it's going to be tough. So, the big win for the Pats, nonetheless, despite all the criticism we might have. It's a big win against a good AFC team, a team in Pittsburgh that beat Cincinnati last week. Pittsburgh is going to be in there like they always are. Say what you all about Mitch Trubisky and this offense, but Mike Tomlin and that defense are going to keep him in probably until week 17, 18. And, this game will have a good chance at meaning a lot later on in the season, when it comes to tiebreakers and playoff implications. So Pat's got it done. We can't complain about it. Pat's defense got it done a lot. And to quote your brother on this, at the end of the game, he goes 17-14. What a 2005 score. It was just so funny.
That's such a funny quote.
He definitely had better delivery than me right there.
He just has I don't know what's up with him, but sometimes he just pulls these weird analogies out of his ass, and I just don't know where he gets it from, but it makes
probably
sense.
From you guys.
Such a 2000. I don't think I've ever said something like that though. He's just unique sometimes with the things he says like that. Like my cousin one time, he has a baseball brand. Well, rest in peace now to that brand, baseball swag. And when it was at the peak of it, my cousin Joe is is in his 30s right now, and he would use the word swag all the time. And my brother's using a terminology from 2010. He just roasted him to his face about it. I'm like, that Jesus.
He's good with the years.
He's really good. He's got a very good memory with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But I have to commend the Patriots defense in this game too, because you look at the way they kind of shut down Najee Harris yesterday, 15 carries for only 49 yards against one of the more talented backs in football right now in his second year. Trubisky was only held to 168 on the day, was sacked 3 times, was picked off once. Huge. And then even a fumble recovery on Gunnar
Yes.
Yeah. Come on, guy. What a traitor.
setting up the Damian Harris touchdown have to. That's a big play. And revenge game goes south. We've seen a few of those this year already go south in the first couple of weeks. So I'm glad that Gunner was one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's something I have to commend Belichick with at the end of the day. And this one is this defense, it's good. And it's stayed consistently good for years now at this point. Because I remember back in like the late 2000s and the mid 2010s, the Patriots defense was one of the worst defenses in football every single year. But somehow,
it was like from 2010 to 12, pretty mid.
Yeah, but I think after we got Darrelle Revis in 2014, that's when things
once we got
around.
Revis, the culture kind of changed. Even though he was only here for a year, but they were very good the next few years. They've always been a top 10 defense, really, almost the last decade. So, except for that game against Nick Foles, that was tough. That was
a tough year for the secondary, really.
Yeah, but big win for the Pats. And against a good secondary in Pittsburgh, good defense, able to get it done on the road. And now home openers next week against the Ravens.
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss more of that this week because we will, ladies and gentlemen, have an episode coming up this Thursday. As usual, we just didn't have time this week in our schedules to really fit it in, but this Thursday we will have that coverage and preview on that game. So a big win against an AFC North opponent. Going to go up against the juggernaut AFC North opponent, though, this upcoming week and for the next few weeks after that, really. So buckle up if you're a Pats fan, but buckle up because when we take a look at this Cardinals-Raiders game, I mean, wow.
Want to start with Ravens, Dolphins?
Actually, yeah, I kind of realized that as I was saying that sentence. Let's talk about that because talk about it. There it is. You can't really. Hold on. I'll take myself out. We'll take each other out so we can. Or actually, no. We'll do this. I think. Does this work? No. Hold on. Tell me not that outfit. I mean, you can't see the full thing. I'll have to get the full thing.
Yeah, but that shirt is anchors, and the pants are palm trees.
And it's all black. It's all black. And of course, Ron, our CEO, Ron Robert, has something to say about it all the time. He's like, dude, he's not pulling anything in that. Get out of here, dude. You don't know crap. I own that outfit. That's the thing. Somebody even mentioned it to me because I had so many conflicting responses. People are like, oh, it sucks. And people are like, dude, that outfit's fire. And then I was just like, dude, I don't care what anybody says. I own this thing. I'm just living in it.
I forgot this was the pic that we were flipping off the camera. Dude.
Yeah, I forgot too until I saw it. I was like, oh, crap.
All right. Yeah, you rock the fit. That's your fit. That is your fit.
It is my fit, baby. That's the way I roll. But talk about a choke fest when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, who were up on the Dolphins for most of this game and somehow gave away the lead late in the fourth. And Miami walks out with a 42-38 victory. Tua Tagovailoa, 6 touchdown passes in the game, and 2 of them to both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, both finished with 11 receptions for over 100 yards each, and another one going to Mike Gesicki. We just saw a total collapse of the Baltimore Ravens, and it really begs the question, are the Baltimore Ravens really, like, I mean, they're definitely a team that's in it this year, but we did see one of their corners, I believe it was Marcus Peters, go out for the year. And now the question is this team's defense really going to be serviceable in the stretch of things?
Oh, I mean, this team's defense looked terrible yesterday. I mean, in the fourth quarter especially. They looked great the first 3 quarters. Held Miami to 14 points. And then, once Marcus Peters went down, like you said, Chet, this Ravens team absolutely dismantled in the fourth quarter, let up 4 touchdown passes to Tagovailoa, 2 of them deep bombs to Tyreek Hill of 60 yards on back-to-back possessions. And they just couldn't get back in the end zone the whole fourth quarter. I mean, that Dolphins defense, we said it all off season, that's going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL this year, really stepped up in that fourth quarter. Held the Ravens to 3 points, who were red hot. Lamar Jackson had that 75-yard touchdown run in the third quarter, an absolute highlight play, one of the best plays of his career. But
79.
79. Yeah, 79, which is even crazier. But I think as long as the Ravens have Lamar Jackson, they will be straight. They will be in contention to win games. But this collapse yesterday, that's a terrible way to set a tone for any team in September. I mean, that is devastating. At home home opener. You lose
So,
a 21-point advantage to Tua Tagovailoa, who had a lot of naysayers coming into this season.
Yeah.
But this is also, by the way, this is one of the greatest fantasy games ever. Is yesterday. I mean, like you just said with Hill and Waddle, I'd Waddle in 3 leagues. Started him in all 3 leagues.
Yeah.
39 points. Tyreek Hill, 40 points. Tua Tagovailoa, 40 points or 38, I think it was. To 469 yards and 6 touchdowns. I will be damned if we see a better game than that this year from any quarterback. Probably a better game maybe all of next year too. I mean, that's a once in a couple year type of game that we just witnessed yesterday from him.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna look back at this game and say, wow, that was really Tua's coming of age moment in the NFL.
So this brings me to my points. I'm going to talk both about Ravens and Dolphins quickly. Starting off with the Ravens. Your point about Lamar Jackson, as long as they have him, they're straight. But here's the thing. We saw Lamar Jackson absent for the entire second half of the season last year for the Baltimore Ravens. And because of that, this really proves to us one thing. Without him, they're screwed. And that's that. This team needs him. You look at those rushing numbers there from that game in terms of the statistics. Lamar Jackson, 9 carries for 119 yards and a touchdown. But then you look at the halfbacks. You got Justice Hill on 3 carries for 16 yards. Kenyon Drake, 6 carries for 8 yards. There is no tailback for this team that can be serviceable besides Lamar. And we saw last year, because he used his legs too much, he got hurt. And then he was out for the rest of the year. Never came back. And this team missed the playoffs after being the number 1 seed at one point. They are good with him. Without him, they're nothing. That's the way this team is. They need to figure out something because J.K. Dobbins and Kenyon Drake are not going to carry this team in rushing. It's going to be Lamar because that's the way the system has worked for the last 3 years. This team needs to figure something out with that.
These numbers with you actually right now. Jeez, dude. 36 rushing yards without Lamar Jackson yesterday. And I know J.K. Dobbins didn't play. He was an act, but when you have 5 guys in that type of offense, the Ravens averaging or getting a total of 36 rushing yards. I know the Dolphins' defense is one of the best in the league. They have a great run defense. This Dolphins team beat the Ravens last year because of their defense, basically. If you remember that Thursday night football game last season.
Yeah.
Man, Tua, he's 4-0 against the Pats. He's 2-0 against the Ravens.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be a demon in the AFC for a little bit, maybe.
So my final criticism of the Ravens, figure out better offensive schemes, figure out a way to get more receivers involved. Because Lamar, he likes to target Bateman and Andrews right now. Need to get Devin Duvernay involved in the game a lot more, like he was last week. You need to spread the ball out more.
He's week 1, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He was silent in this game. And sure, it allowed other people to step up. But Lamar can't carry this team. This team needs to figure it out. And then that defense, they only had, let me see, they had 2 picks and 1 sack. That was huge. And one of them was a pick 6. This defense needs to be able to hold on to those leads because they choked that lead away and had blanket coverage throughout the game until the very end. And Tyreek Hill blew up. At one point, he had 6 catches for like 30 yards. You could have kept him at that the whole game if you just shadowed him a bit more, but they let him break free towards the end.
Let him break free twice in the 4th. I mean, these were bombs. Did you see these throws?
Yeah, nuts. It's like, how the hell did this guy get that open?
Kevin Harlan got me so lit on the second touchdown. He was like, he's got him. He's got him. Like 20 yards before he even got to Tyreek. You can see this picture here. This is the play. I mean, you can't see it, but he's holding the peace sign. He's holding the "I'm open" right at the line of scrimmage.
So
they didn't shadow him. And it came back to bite him. And Jalen Waddle came back to bite him too.
So the thing is, as a Patriots fan, I absolutely despise the Miami Dolphins. But this game proved to me something because throughout this whole offseason, they're spending a ton of money, going out, making big trade to get Tyreek Hill. And then they make additional signings like Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert and even some pieces on defense. And I sat there being like, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. I don't really have belief in this offense, really. And there's a lot of rumors going around the offseason that it looked good, even from within the organization. Tyreek Hill saying Tua is just as good as Patrick Mahomes. Yesterday, Tua Tagovailoa made a statement that he is coming, and the Miami Dolphins are for real. 6 touchdowns, 469 yards. If you told me 2 years ago, or if you told me last year Tua Tagovailoa was going to do that, I would have laughed right in your face and said, you're full of shit. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. He basically made me change my opinion about him in one game. This dude has proven that he can read coverages. He has the weapons now where he can be successful. That's what he needed, was just more guys. Jalen Waddle and him were they were just in a rhythm last year. And now him and Tyreek Hill, same thing. He's got the guys that he needs to be successful. And he just proved to me that the Miami Dolphins have a shot. Not just for a playoff spot. They have a shot for it this year.
I mean, maybe a week 2 overreaction, but with the weapons they have, with the team they have in Tua, he's a winner. He's 15-8 as a starter in the NFL. And before yesterday, he had 28 career touchdown passes. He added 6 more on the list. So
it could, like I said, it's obviously a little bit of an overreaction, but as of right now, the hype's there. And you honestly, at this point, I'm bought into the Miami Dolphins team.
And next Sunday, we're going to see, potentially the AFC East game of the year, Bills Dolphins next week in week 3. So this will really, depending on how the Bills game goes tonight, which they're -10 right now, very heavily favored to win. This will be 2-0 teams looking pretty hot if the Bills are able to just win like they should. I think Titans +10 is a lock, though. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. I know.
It really is. It really is a lot of points. So that concludes our discussion there. And now we'll move in to that Cardinals-Raiders game really quick because, I mean, Raiders, really? Come on, dude. Like, this is a very talented team that has suddenly fallen to 0-2. They make that big trade this offseason to go ahead and get Davante Adams. Davante Adams, 2 catches for 12 yards yesterday, only had 1 touchdown. But this team had the lead throughout this whole game and suddenly just gave it away to, honestly, in my opinion, is kind of a lackluster Cardinals unit. I really don't believe in the Cardinals this year.
I mean,
I really don't.
Listen, man, I didn't the first 7 quarters of this season. That 4th quarter and overtime yesterday. These guys are back. That was, you look Kyler Murray's stats this game, like 1 touchdown, 1 pick. That was the best game of his career yesterday. There's no doubt in my mind. These guys are down 20-0. All right. They get 20-7, 23-7. Down 16 in the 4th quarter. Kyler Murray, converts multiple 4th downs, gets a touchdown, 23-13. And then that 2-point try. Did you see that 2-point try? That first one, he was dancing in the pocket for 20 seconds. He rolled all the way back to the 25-yard line, and he ran 85 yards on the play and got over the goal line. And that's how he scored the game-tying touchdown too. So 23-21 now. He does that twice, 2-point conversion and the touchdown. And then Kyler Murray, these bozos, the Cardinals, kind of Mickey for this, but they got a delay of game on the game-tying 2-point try. And then Kyler Murray thread is maybe one of the best needles I've ever seen in my life on the 2-point try to AJ Green in the back of the end zone. Dude, I mean, you got to watch the highlights of this game, Chet. This is incredible. And then they win the coin toss. You think it's over, and then boom, not over. They punt it. I think they punted it. Yeah, and then the Raiders get it back. No, the Cardinals missed it on 4th and 1. They dropped it on 4th and 1 because Teron Harmon laid a hit stick on Eno Benjamin, I believe it was. And then
the highlight came up. Keep talking. I'm going to watch it right now.
Hunter Renfrow in overtime. This is what I'm talking about with Josh McDaniels and our caption for this show before is Josh McDaniels got too cute at the end of the game. Up 20, I think got way too comfy. Did not target Davante Adams once in the second, or he didn't get 1 catch in the second half. He had 2 catches for 12 yards the whole game, Davante Adams. Then they're at the 39-yard line of the Cardinals on 2nd down. And they get too cute. You have a top 3 kicker in the NFL. Second best kicker behind Justin Tucker is Daniel Carlson, no doubt.
That play was nuts, by the way, that I just watched. But honestly, what the hell kind of a defensive scheme was that? Rush 2 pass rushers.
On the 2-point try?
Yeah. Or either the 2-point, it was the one where he's scrambling around for like 20 seconds.
It happened twice, but the more crazy one was the 2-point try.
I think it was, yeah.
4th and goal. I mean, and then Arizona Cardinals, they forced the fumble. Byron Murphy picks up, goes all the way to the house, and the Raiders lose. Raiders are 0-2 now, and Chet, I've been saying it all summer that when have the Raiders lived up to the expectations? When have they?
Never.
When is McDaniels? When have the Oakland Raiders? Only under Belichick. And, the Raiders 0-2. I mean, they had a good chance at winning both of these games. But when you're talking about a team like the Raiders, team that made the playoffs last year, team that has a top 13 quarterback in the NFL, the best receiver in the NFL, arguably in Devontae Adams, and you're putting out 19 and 23 points in the first 2 games. It's a disappointing start for Vegas and Arizona, who looked like a trash can last week against Kansas City. This is the best game of Murray's career. Just watch the tape. This is he kind of had a Tua-esque game because there's been a lot of noise around Kyler Murray's name. This offseason with the whole you got to watch film and part in his contract. Him, taking a decline second half of the year, the last 2 years. This was the best game of his career. And he came in the clutch. No team wants to 0-2. No team that has started 0-2 the last 2 years has made the playoffs, even the extended postseason that we have now. And he'd probably see him out of the mud. And that defense, can't forget about them making the biggest play of the game. So that's a big win for Arizona in a very tight division in which Trey Lance is out for the year now. Also, to put that in our little subjects, but he's out for the year now. Garoppolo makes them arguably the better team, maybe the same team. Depends on how you want to look at it. They've won with him in the past, but a big one for the Cardinals. Huge win. And, you can't start 0-2 in that division. And they didn't. So that is an absolutely great, dude. This was the craziest game of the late slate. That Ravens Dolphins game was definitely the craziest game yesterday, but this was a phenomenal game.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you right there. And that basically concludes that part. I mean, we'll definitely touch more about Trey Lance this week and what that means for the San Francisco 49ers, because it's definitely very interesting considering they walked right into the season. And it's a good thing they did nothing with Jimmy G, because now it's like, Jimmy! Like you were saying at the party to Jimmy Cabral. Jimmy!
I saw that the next morning and I was like, geez, was not that hyped, but it was a good time.
That's literally what the Niners were like. Come on, Jimmy, save us. Save us again. Man. Wow.
He's going to.
He's going to have to. So we're going to move into our locks and upsets to finish off everything for today. A quick show. Just wanted to get in.
Let's get a quick MNF preview. Let's talk about these 2 games. Just get our picks in real quick.
That's true. Let me pull up that schedule real quick. So
Bills, Titans, Vikes, Eagles.
So for this tonight, I mean, in terms of the way the schedule looks, I could really say right now, I mean, the Titans to me, they look like they're in shambles without their guy, A.J. Brown, on that team. And that experiment between him and Julio Jones just didn't really work out the way we thought it would last year. Derrick Henry definitely didn't have himself a great start to his first game. He did rush for a good amount, but it's just that offense is going to go through him all over again. They really don't have any good wideouts to really carry this team forward. I think this team might have to start looking at potentially getting a new quarterback in the future, because I don't think Ryan Tannehill's the guy. And the Buffalo Bills, they proved like we said, we didn't get to talk about this, but I told you week 1 they'd make a statement, and they came out and did that by shutting out the Rams for basically that entire game. Like,
that's a team in the AFC to be, is what everyone's saying. But hey, like you said, I don't know if Tannehill's the answer. He's never been the prophet. He's been serviceable, obviously, but
yes,
Is he going to be the long-term QB of the Tennessee Titans? No, he's not. That's why they picked Malik Willis this past year in the draft.
Yeah.
Will he be the quarterback the rest of the year and probably next year? I would say so.
Dude, what I have to say about the AFC South this year is it's going to be weird, like really weird. I think
this is a big game to decide how weird it's going to be too. You know,
I honestly think the team that makes it could have a losing record and just win the division at 7-10 or something.
I swear, if it was a 7-10 team, I will be pissed.
Yeah,
Jacksonville looks really good yesterday.
It really is.
I mean,
it's like the NFC last year. The Eagles snuck in at a very poor record and still managed to make the postseason.
9-8, yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, Trevor Lawrence yesterday, 25 of 30, 2 touchdowns, no picks in that.
Yeah.
Should have won against the Colts. They could be a dark horse team in the AFC South.
They really could. And James Robinson, people had the doubts about him, and he's back. He's back. He's still the same player that we saw from last season. Has 3 touchdowns on the year now.
I got to start him, because everyone was riding ETN, and
now it looks like you got to sell that.
Robinson, I drafted him late round, 11th round maybe in our league, and so it was a snipe. It's a good pick. I'm gonna pick the Bills in this game, regardless.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick them. I'm gonna say the Titans cover. I'm gonna say 31-24. I think Derrick Henry. We've seen him against the Bills in the past. He's fucked them up the last 2 years. I'm not even gonna be PG about it. That COVID game. Remember that stiff arm he had on Josh Norman?
Yeah,
crazy. And last year, I think he had 3 touchdowns or 2 on that Monday night game. He had a 75-yarder, so he's got their number. I think he's a great September player, Derrick Henry. I know he had a tough game last week, did not play his best, but do we ever see Derrick Henry have back-to-back bad games? Not since 2018, maybe.
Yeah,
not in a long time. So,
oh, excuse me. But yeah, Bills. They're taking this, and they're favored -10 right now. I think they cover that spread completely. I just don't think I just don't see the Titans really putting – they'll put up a fight, but it's not going to be a fight where at the end of the day that they keep it close because I just think this Bills team defensively, offensively is the best team in football right now, at least from what I've seen so far. That story could change tonight, but I'm going to take the hot team right now. I'm going to give it a final score of 35-21. As of right now, I just think what we see out of this Bills unit is just too much of a juggernaut, and they just got what it takes to win the Super Bowl this year.
Respectable score guess for sure. I like it. But I think Derrick Henry he'll keep him in it.
Yeah,
and that Giants team, he wasn't great against the Giants last week, but Giants have looked better than we thought they would through the first 2 weeks. So
They are a dark horse too, honestly.
Daniel Jones has looked very nice the first 2 weeks.
And then Saquon Barkley back to his old self. Where the hell did that come from? I thought he was done for sure.
We knew either Saquon or C-Mac would have to go back to their old form this year. Maybe it'll be both of them, but Saquon looking good. Fresh legs. Those big, meaty thighs.
And now the final Monday night game right there will be Vikings-Eagles. This one's going to be a very interesting game because we're talking about 2 teams that last year both made the postseason. Well, actually, no, both. Both were one was on the cusp. The other one made it in. Vikings definitely look like a lot better of a unit this year, at least from what we saw in week 1 and especially what we're seeing out of Kirk Cousins' connection with Justin Jefferson. I think that's going to be easily the most exciting combination this year. Justin Jefferson is probably going to be Cooper Kupp this year.
Chill. I'm playing him in fantasy tonight. He cannot have more than 23. If he has 20,
he's probably going to get it. Honestly,
I was thinking it, but I need that Bowen magic. He's a Birds fan.
Remember with your draft, I didn't make it in for the first pick, and you guys were hoping I get Jefferson, and I got Derrick Henry instead. I wish it was Jefferson. I really do.
Did you queue up Henry?
I don't know if I did, honestly.
I think you did because Jettas was ranked 3rd, bro.
Yeah, I have
you queued him up because you were with a shud.
Yeah.
Big.
But yeah, so looking at this game, Vikings looked great against the Packers in week 1. We need to see it. I mean, Dalvin Cook,
looks better.
They've looked better, but they definitely look good to start out of the gate. Eagles, on the other hand, they look really good offensively. However, that Achilles heel, once again, is that defense, because that defense gave up so many rushing yards, rushing touchdowns to the Detroit Lions last week, gave up 35 points. 35.
Most of those were in the second half. I mean, they got big in that game early, and then.
And speaking of which, dude, Detroit Lions, we were so big on them for the last few years. They're looking really good this year. I like what I see out of them.
For a long time, you know that me and Chet have been riding the Lions for a few years, but
especially with Matt Stafford when he was there.
Stafford, then he got hurt that year, but yeah, man, they looked good. They looked good yesterday. Amon-Ra St. Brown had him in, I think, 3 leagues, man. He had 39 points in fantasy. He had 70, right? He had 68 rushing yards yesterday. That's where a lot of his points were from.
DeAndre Swift looks sick. Like, he's awesome. He literally
Dude, you see the touchdown he had yesterday, bro? It was crazy.
I think I did. I forget exactly.
He was third down, he was weaving inside and out, bro.
Dude, he's just got such great movement, and you can expect at least a 30-yard run from him per game. I don't know how he does it, but he just breaks free every single game for at least one big run.
He only had 5 carries yesterday. He's averaging 10 yards per carry through 2 games.
It's nuts. He's so fast. Nobody can stop him.
They got to give him the ball more. 20 carries for 200 yards. He hurt his ankle a little bit yesterday. But
that's the problem with him, though. He's very injury prone. He's good. He's got great explosive power, but he gets hurt.
All right, but back to the other NFC North team
we're
talking about. Vikings +3. And listen, I think the Birds are probably going to win, but I picked the Vikings as my upset this week.
I did too. I did too, actually.
We both picked the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to switch then. I'll pick the Titans.
Come on, we could keep it.
Nah.
All right.
Wait, yeah. Should we do our first ever squad ride on the show? All right, first ever squad ride between me and Chet. We have the same upset because we were beating bozos, didn't get our picks in until 4 p.m. yesterday.
So we had to pick the 4 o'clock games.
We had to pick some late games and Monday night. No, dude, I swear you didn't. You said something else other than the Vikings.
What? My lock? My lock's different. My lock was Rams over Falcons.
Wait, no, you didn't even send me your picks.
I forgot to, dude. I literally at 2:55 yesterday, I realized I didn't have a good pair of jeans to wear to work. So I literally left, went to Kohl's during the games, and then drove right to the restaurant right after for 4.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with a low scoring game because I'm gonna pick the Vikings by a score of 20-17. Just because I need Jefferson to suck enough for me to win, and I picked the Vikings as my upset, so I might as well just ride out with them. But I think the Birds are probably I think the Birds will probably win the game, but it will be a close game. We got Buck and Aikman on the call tonight, so
that's right. That's gonna be good coverage.
What do you think about being on Monday Night Football now? You think it's weird?
Huh?
Do you think them on Monday Night Football is like a betrayal to your childhood?
It kind of is, because I grew up watching them on Fox Sports for so long. That just feels so strange to see them on ESPN. But I mean, hey, I get it. The network really wants to push its brand and have some really good commentators on there. So why not go for two of the best?
They've had some bad ones the last few years.
Yeah,
so.
And this is probably one of the best they'll ever have. So that's huge that they managed to go out and get these two. So I agree once again. I really have a feeling the Eagles will win this game, but there's another part of me that thinks otherwise. I just think the Vikings are trying to make a statement here, especially in the NFC North, where the Packers are starting to figure themselves out right now. We saw that last night. Granted, it was against the Chicago Bears, but this team is definitely trying to make a run this year because they know this is a much weaker Packers team than we have ever seen in a very long time. So I think they're going to be able to have what it takes. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have a big game. Justin Jefferson's going to have a very serviceable game as well. And Kirk Cousins is going to limit his mistakes to the point where we've seen him grow each year in this organization. And I think he's only going to continue to do that as the season goes on. But we'll have to see as tonight goes. I'm going to take the final score of 24-21. That's my final right there in this one.
All right. Good safe bet. Also,
Yeah.
you briefly said that your lock was Rams
Rams
over
over
Falcons.
Falcons. Yes, I know it's a little bit
Very
of a Mickey
crazy
Mouse pick,
game. Crazy
but
game.
it was still, dude, the Falcons have honestly surprised me this year. Like
Watched
they're
that with your
actually in
brother, and
games.
they were down 28-3 and like almost won. It was ridiculous.
Like the thing, so like that's so funny how they trade Matt Ryan away. They have Marcus Mariota as their starter, and literally we're just laughing at this team all off season, crapping on them for all their talent they have. But they beat the Saints week 1. They nearly come back and take down the Super Bowl champion Rams. The Rams look a little bit lost in certain aspects, and it's definitely defensively right now, which is bizarre. But I mean, we'll see how things go. But I mean, for the Falcons, it's like, it's just crazy to me. I just don't understand that. Like how they're just able to be in these games. Their defense is playing a lot better. And then that offense, it's just, I don't know, man.
Some things never change. No matter who the quarterback is, some things never change.
Some things never change. That's a good
One
point.
last
Now,
thing before we sign off about my lock.
yeah,
Packers over Bears. Get these guys off Sunday night. I'm sick of this.
It's literally just the league being like, hey, these are two of the oldest organizations in football. Like, it's like, yeah, dude, I know we get it, but their games are not fun because they're one-sided every time.
I'm glad that they put most of them in September when they put them on prime time. I remember last year's in like November, like some week 12 crap. So,
and they still got killed.
Yeah, it's just like stupid. It's like, what is the point of this? Like,
Yeah,
you're just wasting my eyes. The Packers win every single time, dude. Like the last time I remember the Bears beating the Packers in prime time was literally like Jay Cutler on Thanksgiving, like 7. You remember like 7 years ago?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Time.
Dude, I don't care. Like Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields, they just don't have what it takes to take down Aaron Rodgers. Jay Cutler was the only Bears quarterback ever to really make an interesting performance. Maybe Justin Fields will do that in a couple of years, but I mean, I don't really have hope for him right now.
I think Trubisky beat him. Trubisky beat the Packers once, I think. I think it was like 7 maybe, 1-6 against them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like this, but yeah, it's obviously a good pick. The Packers were 100% going to win that game regardless. I mean, final score 27-10 in that one, but I mean, at the end, and Fields literally had 70 yards passing. That's so bad.
I'm saying,
That's
like,
so bad.
This Justin Fields, dude, I can't with him anymore. I don't believe in Justin Fields.
No, I
They
don't.
let him do anything.
No,
You know,
they don't.
He doesn't look that good in general.
Yeah.
You know, he was playing like okay, but like I don't like these quarterbacks where like the main thing for them is running the ball. I mean, you see the score 27-10. He was 7 for 8 with like 11 minutes left, and he threw 3 passes the rest of the game. I know the run game was doing great at the fourth quarter. They were getting big holes with Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, but you know, you got to show your rookie quarterback you got some trust in him, you know, to get him back in the game. And they're all this stuff on the goal line where it's just Fields trying to keep it himself, and that was what the end of the game was. Kind of that was what their last possession was. The last meaningful one was him being stopped short of the goal line on 4th and goal on a QB draw out of the shotgun from the 1-yard line.
Oh my
God. It's just
God.
stupid. I can't like the Bears. Like, why are they doing Matt Nagy stuff without Matt Nagy?
Yeah.
You know, poor Bears fans. My boy Nick from Chicago, I'm praying for you, bro. Just tough. It's just annoying to watch these guys on SNF every single year.
Yeah. At this point,
they get a Monday night game too, probably. Like, it's because you're the Bears. They've been poverty for the last 40 years, and it's just annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks. It sucks. It really does. But Packers, definitely in this one, they showed, and I told people this last week because people are like, the Packers are going to be crap this year. I'm like, dude, this is what Green Bay does every year. They suck week 1. They're absolutely terrible. Everybody's like, oh, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? Is he feeling all right? And then suddenly next week, he just comes back and he's fine. And it's like, dude, what were you guys doubting? Aaron Rodgers is still going to be like, it's like the Ravens with Lamar, except Aaron Rodgers is way better than Lamar Jackson. He's just a smart quarterback who can make plays and make an accurate throw. He's the most accurate quarterback we've ever seen in NFL history. So when it comes to that, it was a good call. Packers, they're going to be serviceable, and they're still going to have a shot in the North this year.
Absolutely. They will. I mean, sure, it's a pick-me-up game. Of course, it's the Bears, but, it's a win regardless. And Rodgers, 14 straight completions last night at one point. I mean, he had the end of the game with 14 straight completions. He looks like Aaron Rodgers again. As we see every year, like you said, slow start to the year, but that's why he's the top, I'll say, 5 quarterback ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good note to end on right there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our late week 2 discussion. We'll be back this Thursday for week 3 discussion and a little bit more recap of news that happened with week 2, specifically, obviously, right out of the gate, Trey Lance going on a season-ending IR, and Jimmy Garoppolo now stepping up to be the starter for San Francisco. We'll go into a more in-depth analysis with that. But thank you all for tuning in once again to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy here on Fans Only Sports Network. This Saturday at 1:30, go get your stream passes at fansonlysports.com because me and Duffy will be on the call. LaSalle and Central, big high school game coming up this week. And me, Chet, being the voice of the LaSalle Rams, and Duffy over here being the voice of the Central High School Knights. It's a big one. And I'm going to be excited to call this one with you, man. This is literally our Joe Buck and Troy Aikman type of duo here at Fans Only Sports.
Yeah. No, we are the number 1 team for sure, with all due respect to everyone else. We're getting the best games, me and Chet.
Absolutely.
But yeah, big game Saturday. I'm glad it's in the afternoon too. I think it's at 1:30 or 12:30.
Absolutely.
So load up for the working, watch some good football, have a good Saturday night. So, and ultimately a good football Sunday as well. So very excited for that, Chris. Very excited.
I am excited too. Thank you all for tuning in this week. We will see you all later this week. This is Chet and Duffy signing off, and we will catch you all next time. And as always, go Pats.
Yeesh.